Sonic the Hedgehog is one of the most famous and beloved video game franchises in the entire world. His simple design and way past cool attitude has resonated with autists for well over 30 years. Thankfully, my autism has helped me recognize a pattern in the franchise as a whole. Whenever a Sonic game releases, it's torn to shreds. But after a few years go by, people warm up to the game. The most recent example of this trend is Sonic Unleashed. When it first came out, people were very vocal about how much they didn't like it. The Werehog stages, the boost gameplay, and chip were all harshly criticized. But thanks to the game finally getting recompiled onto the PC, people have finally come around and realized it's actually a great game. The Werehog stages are a ton of fun when you know what to do, the boost gameplay became the norm for 3D Sonic, and collecting 100 Sun and Moon medals in order to beat the game is just a fantastic gameplay loop. This trend got me thinking, is Sonic the Hedgehog, or more commonly referred to as Sonic 06, really as bad as people say it is? Now almost 20 years later, I can confidently say that everyone who didn't like the game, well, pure and simple, they were just not good at playing it. It's one of, if not the best Sonic game ever made, but people couldn't adapt to the sudden difficulty curve the game has. To make the best comparison I can, it's the Dark Souls 2 of 3D Sonic games. Let me ask you this, when was the last time you sat down to play it yourself? I bet most people who talk trash on the game only do so because they watched a YouTuber play it and they said it's bad. Therefore, it must be bad. I know most normies are just sheep, but I thought the Sonic fandom was better than that. I thought we were all autistic geniuses who could see through the lies and propaganda. Thankfully, I'm not the only one who is this passionate about Sonic 06. I had a few people reach out to me with their thoughts on 06, so instead of relying on some cringy green screen transitions, I'll use their stories to transition from one thought to another. I did get their consent to use their testimonials, but for the sake of their safety, I will not be showing their faces or use their real names. They're scared someone might be crazy enough to stalk them or pipe bomb their home, but I am more than happy enough to be the face of the Sonic 06 fan club. Allow me to be the new voice of reason and clarity. The new video essayist who can tell you all the reasons why Sonic 06 is the best Sonic game ever made.
How did Sonic 06 change my life? Well, one day I was walking in the woods with my wife and we encountered a bear. Thankfully I have my emotional support copy of Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 for the PS Triple, and I took out the Blu-ray trademark disc and threw it at my wife's ankle and cut it. It was quite a nice spin on it, if I do say myself. I learned that little trick while playing baseball with a coworker. Thankfully the bear went after my wife and I could escape with just a brisk jog. I thought it'd be difficult to break news to my daughter, but I just said she died in a car hit and run, and I think she bought it, so I'm good. The real tragedy wasn't losing my wife, it was losing that copy of Sonic 06. I mean, I hope the bear is enjoying it.
Before we even start talking about the game itself, something that I've learned is the specific version of a Sonic game you play is extremely important. Sonic Adventure 1's Steam version is notorious for being far buggier and looking way worse than the original Dreamcast release. Unleashed was on the PS3 and 360, but it was also on the Wii. The Wii version is notorious for having a lot of content removed, like the open world exploration part of the game. Sonic 06 suffered this too. The Xbox 360 version is well known for being the inferior port of 06. It has way more glitches, far longer loading screens, it drops frames and lags way more often, and a lot more. Most people who say it's bad probably only played it on the 360. That begs the question, why didn't they play the far superior PS3 version? It's a well-known fact that when the PS3 was launched, it was priced at $600, or about $900 today when adjusted for inflation.
In North America, the PlayStation 3 will be available at retail on November 17th, 2006. The 60GB PlayStation 3 for $599 US, $659 Canadian.
So the reason people didn't play Sonic 06 on the PS3 is pure and simple a skill issue. You were probably born into a really poor family, or were a low-tier wagey at the time who just couldn't afford the superior console. This is just like in the 90s when the Panasonic 3DO was released. Most people bought the cheaper and inferior SNES and Sega Genesis because they were poor wagies. Before we get to the story and gameplay, I want to quickly bring up the music. Sonic 06 has such a fantastic OST. It's emotional and energetic. I really can't give it the credit it truly deserves. I'll just say this for now. Open your heart and live and learn walked, so his world could mock speed dash. Sonic 06 has the best opening cutscene in the entire franchise, even to this day. It's not up for debate. The only game that comes close is Unleashed, but it just lacks the soul that Sonic 06 has. Sonic 06 has atmosphere and world building. Not only that, it has the best Eggman design we have ever seen to this day. People only hated it because it was new and different, but let's be honest, it's fantastic. If we put these two designs side by side, there's no question as to which one's better. This Eggman has to pay women to fuck, but this Eggman gets paid to fuck. This Eggman gets cucked, whereas this Eggman cucks. He cowers in fear of the N-word while he proudly says it with a hard R.
A pleasure to meet you at last, Princess of Soliana. I am Dr. Eggman.
Sonic 06 is a very special game and has fundamentally transformed how I think about things. I've always had a very deep prejudice against hedgehogs since a very young age. My mother was a victim to a hedgehog attack. It even gone to the point where as a teenager I would grab a baseball bat and walk towards hedgehog habitats at night just to find an excuse to hurt hedgehogs. Then my father, who, was raising us alone at the time, got us an Xbox 360. There was one game that was included, and that was the double pack of Lego Indiana Jones and Kung Fu Panda. But the game he bought himself was Sonic 06, and that helped relieve me that not all hedgehogs are bad or evil or vicious. That there are good hedgehogs out there, just like people, and also just like people, the black hedgehog is the bad guy.
The game is split into 3 different campaigns for Sonic, Shadow, and Silver. I'll talk about how great the story is later, but first things first, we need to discuss just how amazing the core gameplay is. Sonic 06 is 3D Sonic at its best. The platforming, the level design, everything about it is honed to perfection. Sonic's campaign focuses on fast-paced, precision platform. Shadow's campaign focuses more on combat. He has an awesome attack streak, a rage meter that gives him a damage buff, and uses a variety of vehicles to mow down his enemies. Silver has a slower pace that allows the game to focus more on puzzle platforming by using his awesome psychic abilities, and it really shows off just how amazing the game's physics engine is. Lucky for us though, we don't only get to play as the core hedgehogs. All throughout their campaigns, we get to use other fan favorite characters like Tails, Omega, and Blaze. Sonic 06 really goes above and beyond to give the fans exactly what we want. We haven't seen this many playable characters since Sonic Adventure 1, and we all know the amount of characters a Sonic game has is directly tied to how good it is. I can't imagine Sonic Adventure 1 without Big the Cat, just like I can't imagine 06 without Rouge or Knuckles. Most games have to choose between quantity and quality, but somehow Sonic 06 has both. Excluding boss fights in the final stage, we get a whole 9 amazing levels. And just like in Sonic Adventure 1, every campaign gets to use all these levels. That's insane! It's such a smart way to reuse assets, but it always manages to feel fun when we play Flame Core with someone new. But what's even better is just how many different paths and shortcuts every level has. The core gameplay loop found in every Sonic game is you need to replay a stage 12 different times to find all the different paths and collectibles. A lot of people criticize Sonic 06 for being, quote, lazy, but I'd be willing to bet they only played each stage once and then called it bad. You can't do that! You have to S-rank every stage. If you aren't replaying every stage to get those S-ranks, well, you're just not playing Sonic games right.
What's wrong with you?
People really have the audacity to judge a stage solely based on their first experience with it. I bet most people didn't even know the stages also have a hard mode that really puts everything you've learned to the test. Imagine rage quitting on the normal difficulty for the stages. What a bunch of pudding. One of the most common and repeated critiques of Sonic 06 is that it's really glitchy, but I would argue the people who are saying this play the game wrong and use this argument in bad faith. In Wave Ocean, you can make Sonic stand perfectly upside down on one of the loops. But do you understand how hard it is to make this happen? You have to jump over and then homing attack past the boost panels. Why would you do that? It's a scripted event. You're not supposed to do that. The only reason this looks dumb is because you're trying to make this look dumb. It's not the game's fault this happens. It's your fault this happens because you're not trying to play the game exactly like the developers want you to. You have to try so hard to make these glitches happen. Like, you're playing a Sonic game. Why are you stopping? You just hold forward, dumbass. It's not that hard. Of course the snowboarding section looks weird where you're going up the mountain. You're supposed to go down the mountain. Do you not fucking understand that? The hate for Sonic 06 is blown way out of proportion because of this. For almost 20 years, people have been mindless sheeps. Just saying Sonic 06 is bad, ha ha ha. Just regurgitating the same talking points like idiots. Have you ever stopped to think that maybe, just maybe, it's a skill issue on your part? Maybe the game isn't always glitching out. Maybe the homing attack isn't janky and works just fine when you know how to use it right. Maybe the Mach Speed dash sections aren't bad, you just don't know how to adapt. It's a crazy idea, but maybe, just maybe, you just suck. I bet most people would just rage quit the final stage because they couldn't handle it. Oh no, my Sonic game's finally getting a little difficult. I have to think in Sonic 06. Look, it's okay to be bad at a game. It's okay. Not everyone is born with the genes required to play Sonic games. But it's not okay to blame the game because you just can't adapt. I can prove this too. Let's look at one of the most misunderstood and taken out of context parts of the game. Silver's boss fight. This moment filtered a ton of people. It was too hard for them, and they would rather blame the game instead of adapting. Boo-hoo! My homing attack doesn't work like I want it to, therefore it's the game's fault, and not my fault for mindlessly mashing the A button, cause I'm a stupid Sonic fan. I'm sure most people tried to fight Silver like they would a boss from the previous Sonic games, but Sonic 06 is not made for little kids. It's made for hardcore gamers looking for a challenge. You can only get one hit on Silver before you have to run away, and the only reason people lose is because they get too greedy. Once you understand you have to do a hit and run strategy, his fight becomes a great back and forth that tests your skills. That is, of course, unless you have a skill issue and just gave up. The only reason you would disagree with me here is because you suck, that's it. This line of reasoning applies to all the hard levels of the game. Sonic's Mach Speed dash sections, the running on wall segments, Shadow's vehicle section, the ball puzzle with Silver, etc. Oh no, the game doesn't control well. What a lazy argument. Imagine that, blaming the game for weird controls. How about you just adapt? Just get good. Also, I beat Silver's ball puzzle on my very first try. It's not that hard. Once again, skill issue. I'll take the time to address this point now because there's no other good place to talk about it. If one of your reasons to dislike Sonic 06 is the loading screens, well that's just stupid. Imagine getting filtered by a loading screen, not a hard boss fight, or a difficult but completely fair level, or a puzzle that requires you to actually think. But no, a loading screen is what stopped you from enjoying one of the best Sonic games ever made. That's not even a skill issue at that point. That's a life issue. You might as well just jump off a bridge into the water and save us all the time we'd waste proving you wrong. Patience is a virtue that 99% of Sonic 06 haters lack. And screw it, here's another skill issue. Some people complain about motion sickness. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? You're so weak that you almost throw up playing a video game? You would rather blame the game instead of your crappy monitor by any chance? This is what I mean when I say people are always ready to make excuses, saying it's always the game's fault. You know, you could just pop a Dramamine or take a shot of Everclear before your Sonic 06 session. Oh, but that's just too hard. Instead of adapting to the game, you'd rather bitch about it and make excuses. Once again, skill issue. You just suck.
I live out in the boonies, and there's not much to do. when I'm not getting verbally and physically abused by my boss. I'm just wandering around town. I had given up on everything. Friends, family, my job, the world, and life itself. I was ready to throw everything away, but that all changed when I found Sonic 06. The department store was having a clearance sale, and I figured why not give it a shot. It saved my life. I have a new outlook on life. I'm getting a promotion soon, and the girl I have a crush on said yes when I asked her out. I was a fool or a clown to not play Sonic 06 sooner.
The story of Sonic 06 is such a fantastic narrative. It's got time travel, the apocalypse, and so much more. I'll be the one to say it, Sonic 06, it's just a better Sonic CD. It handles time travel far better and doesn't rely on a bunch of cheap gimmicks to keep the player engaged. But Chaz, what about all the plot holes in the game, blah blah blah? Well, guess what? Every single story that uses time travel has plot holes. Just get over it and stop trying to ruin everyone's fun.
Why are you so fucking negative all the time?
I'll be honest here, I really don't feel like talking about the story from start to finish, as we'd be here for at least 3 more hours. I'll briefly talk about some specific issues people have with some of the story mode sections. Look, you're a grown-ass man. It's been almost 20 years since the game came out. You can grab your retro PS3 console, blow the dust off of it, and boot up Sonic 06 yourself, which of course you should do when this video is done. Sonic's story is the most straightforward of them all. However, some idiots complain about the plot. Sonic saves Elise and then Eggman kidnaps her, rinse and repeat, half a dozen times. But let me ask you this, why is it okay when the Mario games do this? Bowser kidnaps Peach, Mario saves her, 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 Bowser kidnaps Peach, Mario saves her. That's the entire Mario franchise and everyone loves it. But Sonic does this plot just once.
Well, then everyone loses their minds.
Towards the end of his campaign, Elise and Eggman die when his ship crashes. It is one of the most tear-jerking scenes in the entire franchise. But thanks to Silver, Sonic is able to travel back in time right before it crashes. Sonic confronts Eggman, and we get a fantastic boss fight. But some people will ask, why didn't Eggman just get in his Egg Wyvern before they crashed? Well, first of all, that requires the power of hindsight. There are plenty of times in your life where the answer to your problems look pretty obvious, but that's only after you have had time to think about what you could have done differently. Like when you were asking your high school crush to the prom, and you told her your favorite Sonic game was Sonic Heroes, of course she rejected you. She likes Sonic 06. Secondly, people forget that Eggman is really depressed all throughout the game. He's clearly got a lot of black-pilled, incel-coded vibes. No one asks why he's trying to control time or kidnap Elise. Well, it's because he wants to get approval from his grandfather, Gerald Robotnik. He's always trying to prove to himself that he's worthy of love, that he can pull bitches, but Sonic is always getting in his way. This is where the beauty of their relationship finally shows itself. Eggman and Sonic need each other, like Tom and Jerry, like Batman and the Joker, like Big and Froggy. Sonic needs Eggman to have fun adventures to go on, and Eggman needs Sonic to help him find a purpose in life beyond needing his grandfather's recognition. That's why Eggman gets the will to fight when Sonic shows up. In his lowest point, when everything seems worthless and pointless, he forgets what drives him to keep living, killing that annoying blue hedgehog. This also explains why he didn't destroy all of the platforms in the boss fight. That would just be too easy. There wouldn't be any fun. It wouldn't feel rewarding to kill Sonic like that. And that's what Sonic 06 does so amazingly. It has a great Ludo narrative where it ties the story and gameplay together to form an amazing, coherent story. And I just love it so much. Shadow's story is the best in the game. Mephiles is the GOAT of all time. And Shadow, he's just so cool. Shadow and Mephiles' dynamic is one of the best things about the game. Look, there's nothing more I can really say beyond that. Everything is perfect in his campaign. The story, the platforming, the vehicles, everything about it. Some people might ask, why doesn't Shadow mention Maria at all? It's because he's finally gotten over her dying. Rip Bozo, boo who, she got shot. It's been, what, 50 years since it happened? It's a good thing that they finally allowed Shadow to have an identity of his own beyond Maria this, Maria that. We already have the Shadow the Hedgehog game, which is fully dedicated to their dynamic, so good riddance is what I would say, but sadly the Shadow Generations game brought back Maria because God forbid Shadow gets to have a game without Maria. If we look at the Sonic trivia iceberg, towards the second to last layer, we can see a piece of trivia that most Sonic fans don't know about. Silver the Hedgehog is heavily inspired by an anime character called Trunks from the Dragon Ball Super anime. They share a lot of similarities. Their stories are about time travel, hope, saving the future, and maybe crushing some pussy if there's enough time left. I'll be honest though, Silver is like the weakest part of the game. Gameplay wise, he's a ton of fun, don't get me wrong. But his character, voice, and overall design, they're just not that good and very, uninspired. It really is such a shame that this amazing game is brought down by Silver. But then again, going from a 10 out of 10 to, a 9.5 out of 10, hey, it's still a great game with some flaws. In fact, that's something that I've tried to do over the course of my life. I want to look at things that I love with a more objective lens. Nothing in this world is perfect, and sadly that does include Sonic 06. I looked over everything I could, gameplay and story, and I think I found one glaring flaw with the game. It fails the Bechdel test. I know, calm down guys, trust me, I was shocked too. For the misogynistic Neanderthals that don't know what that is, first of all, read a book, and second of all, it's a test that every piece of media should pass. It's primarily used for movies, but Sonic 06 is just such a cinematic masterpiece that I thought it was fitting to put it to the test. The Bechdel test asks a few, but really important, feminist-centered questions. Does the movie or game have two named women characters? Do they have a conversation without any men present? And the last one is the most important. If they do have a conversation, does it center around a man? Sonic 06 does pass the first test. It has Elise, Amy, Rouge, and Blaze. But sadly, only Amy and Elise get a private conversation without a man around, and it's all about how they both love Sonic. It really is such a shame. We all know the main reason people play video games nowadays is to become more media literate, and to hear political messages. I wish the game took this chance to push a really strong message, like how Donald Trump and Elon Musk are neo-Hitler. Sonic the Hedgehog agrees with my political views after all. It really does suck that Sonic 06 doesn't allow Amy and Elise to discuss the rampant sexism Elise suffers on a daily basis, or how their country would fare far better with a communist form of government. I'm not just pulling this out of my ass, of course. Elise's design and color scheme are obviously supposed to represent the Soviet Union flag. I see what you did, Sega. I know what you were trying to do. That is some grade A, top tier subliminal messaging.
I was at a low point a long time ago in my life. I was a starving artist from Palestine, just got out of college. USAID paid for it, but I started buying Funko Pops and the addiction spiraled. My landlord evicted me, and well, I was living in my car, then in the van down by the river. But that all changed when I got a CRT with Sonic 06. Now I'm a multi-millionaire off of crypto. Invested pretty heavy into Hawk 2 a coin when that hit came. Didn't even register. Sonic 06, it saw the fall, it saw everything. I owe everything I have in my life to Sonic 06.
But now I think it's finally time to talk about the most controversial scene in the entire game. Once you finish the 3 campaigns, you unlock the final mission. We begin the final portion of the game with Sonic and Elise and Mephiles. Mephiles does what no one has done before and since. He kills Sonic. After everything that they have been through, Elise doesn't give up hope. She inspires everyone to gather the Chaos Emeralds to perform a miracle, bring Sonic back to life. As the ritual is almost complete, Elise decides to lean in for a kiss. I'm gonna say something that no one else is willing to say. The only reason people dislike the scene is because they're an incel. You're just jealous that Sonic's corpse is able to attract more bitches than you ever will. Sonic has more riz and death than you do or will in your entire life. You're only mad at this because you're jealous. You will never get a real girlfriend. You're an incel who lives in your mom's basement. Rather than trying to fix yourself in order to attract the bitches, you would take out your rage and anger on a game that quite frankly is better than you in every way, shape, or form. Once again, Skill issue.
You know, over my entire life, ever since I was 16, I started dating around a lot, of course, as we all know. And since that time, I am now 24 years old. I had 14 girlfriends, including my current one. And no one, even including my current one, has treated me about as well as Sonic 06 has. This game has, in fact, changed my life. And honestly, I attribute everything I have to it. I own a house. I own tons of firearms. I have a happy wife. I have a kid, probably soon enough. And honestly, I just have to thank Sonic 06 for all of that. All my previous girlfriends, guess what gave me that? Sonic 06. That's been my pickup line for over a decade now, almost. I like Sonic 06, you know, it just pulls bitches. Eventually, if you just play Sonic 06 enough, you will find the love of your life, and that's just the truth of the matter. That's just how the way these things go. Honestly, I'm like tearing up here, like fucking Sonic 06 is just the best. It has changed the trajectory of my life for the better, and I have nothing but thanks to give to it.
But hey, maybe they don't like this scene because Elise is a realistic human, whereas the Sonic character is still a cartoony. It's an artistic decision. Just roll with it. To make a quick comparison, no one cares that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has these cartoony characters drive around in BMWs. No one cared when Mario visited New Donk City in Super Mario Odyssey. Why does Odyssey get praised, but 06 gets ridiculed? Is it because Sonic is not a human standing around human characters? Well, guess what? Neither is Mario. Pauline is a vibrant, beautiful, voluptuous human female, and Mario is Italian. Rules for me, but not for thee, I guess. Nintendo fanboys will always make up the dumbest excuses to argue why their games are good, but Sonic games are trash. Over the past few years being a video essayist, I have tried to hone my media literacy skills. If middle school English has taught me anything, it's that there's symbolism in everything, even if you don't think that there should be. I used my skills to fully analyze the drug use metaphor that DMC Devil May Cry used beautifully. I think I've only gotten better in the years since I made that video. After many sleepless nights going over every possible detail I could think of, I think I finally understand what Sonic 06 was trying to do. It's trying to tell the story of Jesus Christ. It's all there. You have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost Trinity. Sonic dies but is resurrected on the third attempt at the final stage. Iblis and Mephiles are representations of Satan and the Antichrist respectively. In fact, Mephiles' name is based off the demon Mephistopheles, who made a deal with Faust. Faust sold his soul in exchange for unlimited knowledge, and this deal Faust made is shown through Silver's campaign when Silver makes a Faustian bargain with Mephiles. He goes back in time to kill the Iblis trigger to save his future, when in reality, killing Sonic would cause the apocalypse. It's so beautiful! In fact, Silver's whole campaign clearly shows the apocalypse that Satan's army will bring upon the Earth. The final boss has Sonic, Shadow, and Silver all gain angelic powers to defeat the forces of Satan once and for all. The Christian symbolism is everywhere in Sonic 06, but just like misogyny, you have to know how to look for it. It's a shame that no one wants to talk about these aspects of Sonic 06. All people want to do is trash talk the quote bad parts of the game. But when you're too negative, you'll miss the good things in life. Now, am I saying Sonic is literally Jesus Christ? No. But I'm sure some Sonic fans do revere him as God, and they look at Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 as the Old and New Testaments respectively. All I'm trying to do is show that Sonic 06 does have more to offer, beyond its great music, fantastic level design, and great story. Most people just don't have the media literacy to understand the finer details a story has to offer. To cap off this section, let me quote a Bible verse. Galatians 4:16. Have I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? I think the Sonic fandom is filled with hypocrites. If I take all the arguments made against 06, it's glitchy, lazily reusing the same few levels, the pointless side characters, everyone nods their heads in agreement. But if I try to use those same arguments against Sonic Adventure 1, I'll be crucified. There's always some kind of excuse made for Adventure, but no one but me would even dare to do the same for Sonic 06. When world-renowned gamer Aaron Hansen of the Game Grumps made fun of Adventure 1, everyone roasted him.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's
these games.
It's a
How many of these were there?
Oh, tons.
Let me try. I did.
What the fuck?
It happened again. It's just like when you hit the wall. What the?
No!
What
It's pulling you towards it.
Whoops. No. Okay. Well, there we go. Oh, Jesus. I'm up here now.
When a certain animator turned Let's Player showcased a certain glitch in Emerald Coast in his not Let's Play of Sonic Adventure, fans of the game rushed to their keyboards to tell him that it was because he was playing the inferior DX port, and that if he were playing the superior Dreamcast version, it never would have happened. If you jump or spin dash during the scripted sequence, you will very likely clip through the geometry and die. But again, you'd have to deliberately use these moves to activate the glitch. I'm convinced that Aaron knew about this loop-de-loop and practiced breaking it beforehand so he could make the game look bad, because he's a troll to the Sonic fandom and that's the kind of stuff that he does.
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
But the AVGN makes 2 videos making fun of 06, and everyone claps. We should use 06 in some kind of study about hive mind mentality. Everyone says 06 is a bad game, but why do they say it? Once again, their favorite YouTuber said it was bad, therefore it's bad. Thankfully, I'm here to tell you that they were all wrong. Sonic 06 is the peak of the franchise, and it's a shame no one understood what it was trying to do. How can Sonic 06 be a bad game when it had a cameo in Breaking Bad, one of the most critically acclaimed, beloved TV shows of all time? They could have chosen any other game on the PS3 for this scene, but they chose Sonic 06. I think that says a lot. The good news is we're coming up on its 20th year anniversary, so maybe, just maybe, we'll get Sonic 06 Reloaded. This isn't completely out of the realm of possibility either. A lot of people are talking about Sonic 06 lately, and it's not just me. I'm not the only one who loves Sonic 06. The literal biggest Sonic fan of all time recently did a fantastic speedrun of 06, and it got the Sonichu medallion of approval.
I would really appreciate if the billionaires actually paid their fair share, you know.
Well, that sucked. That sucked even worse. I do not accept a threat like that, especially since it's so mild and your bark being worse than your bite.
Thank you all so much for watching this video. I can't wait to see all the amazing comments agreeing with everything I've had to say. If there's anything that I forgot to bring up for the sake of time, or just because I forgot about it because there's so many amazing things that I had to remember, please tell me about it. Thank you to all my members, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do, and hit the notification bell. Right now, I'm working on a video explaining why Dragon Ball Evolution is just a misunderstood masterpiece, and it really is the peak of the Dragon Ball franchise. So you'll want to keep an eye out for that video when it comes out. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and always remember,
It's no use! This way, Nega!